All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin. I've got my main man, Ryan, here. People deem to call him the baby Pep, the masterclass that he provided for us just before the Champions League final, the preview. I'm pretty sure if you guys remember, Ryan was here for the preview and he absolutely delivered a masterclass of a tactical illustration for us. And it pretty much ended up being like that in the match as well. So it was very, very good to have that. And the comments that he got was unbelievable. So off the back of that, we want to have once a week where we bring in Ryan and we do a tactical analysis. And today's topic is Jadon Sancho to Chelsea. I mean, look, it doesn't necessarily have to be Sancho, but a profile like Sancho to Chelsea, why or how that would fit in under Thomas Tuchel. And we'll get into all of that conversation. So before we do that, first of all, my man Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good. Episode 1 of the tactical side of the coin, as I like to call it. But excited to talk tactics with you, man. It's always been a pleasure since I've been on here since March. So I'm just really excited to have this slot on a Saturday. And hopefully we can create magic, man.
Brilliant, man. I like this tactical side of the coin, which is interesting. Maybe that's probably what the show's name should be, and then we can do up the artwork and whatnot. Tactical side of the coin. I love that. Actually, that has a nice ring to it. I really like it. The more I think about it, already quite a lot of people in the live chat joining us. Thank you so much taking your time out in the weekend and joining us. We've got Charlie Robinson here. We've got Ankit here. We've got Jules already here. Chelsea Perspective. Already saying big up, miss. Thank you so much, Chelsea Perspective. You always support the channel, so I absolutely love that. And Jules and a few other people are already talking about how Sancho is heavily linked with United. He's probably United bound as well. And we've got Ankit who's already talking about how we should have faith in Ziyech and Calaban. We're going to talk about all of this, so stay tuned. It's going to be a very, very interesting show. We've got Nipun here, Vishal here. Thank you so much for joining, Ryan. First, let's talk about, let's address what people are saying initially, that Sancho is United bound. The way I kind of look at it, Ryan, first of all, is I don't sort of buy into it. I don't sort of get absolutely excited that, this particular player is heavily linked with a particular, club. For me, the way I look at it, Ryan, is until and unless it's absolutely done and dusted, I don't sort of get too overly excited that this player is 100% going to a particular club, because Chelsea is very keen. And the reason why they're keen is it seems to be very difficult to get the 3 strikers that are available, the top tier strikers in the sense of Kane, Haaland, and Lukaku. Lukaku, with his interview recently saying he wants to stay in Inter Milan. Once again, I don't completely buy into all of that. He probably is saying it because he has to say it. Kane, I think, will be very difficult being from Spurs. And Haaland, I don't know how Dortmund loses both Haaland and Sancho. Sancho is the one they've categorically come out and said he is in the market. So from that perspective, Ryan, do you sort of get disheartened that he's getting linked so much with Man United that this is a case closed, that Chelsea cannot hijack this?
No, because I know Chelsea likes to do things on the table. So many times Chelsea would have so much transfers come out and no journalist had an idea it was going on. Even with that Giroud contract extension and that clause in his contract, no one knew it had that. Yeah. And it's just another example. With regards to Lukaku and stuff like that, as you said, nothing's finalized until the last moment. And I think it's important that we look into this, because even with Jadon Sancho, he's played in a 3-4-3 in that right attacking mid, left attacking mid with a dynamic front three, which we have because Royce was the striker, then Torgan Hazard was on the other side, and then Sancho was on the left. So that's basically a front three of what we have right now. A striker could get none a typical holding number 9, but all attacking players in a back three with 2 wing backs bombing forward. So and a midfield pivot. So I was watching BVB in 2019-20 season, and the tactics is very similar to what Tuchel has now.
I was just going to say, they play with wingbacks, right? Like they started playing
Yeah.
with Rafael Guerrero and Hakimi, I remember.
Yep. So, and not only that, like a lot of teams play with that formation, but not much of them builds that diamond on each side to get out
Yeah.
of play. A lot of them use long balls, use rotational spaces, this and that, but they actually use similar diamonds to what we have. And Sancho used to be under, you know, he's accustomed working in that system, so it's something we could look into.
No, 100%, 100%. I've got to talk about this particular comment from Super GOT. For me, if you can't get a player who has better conversion rate, then create more chances by signing Sancho Grealish. I mean, this kind of makes sense, and this is exactly what we want to talk about. Ryan, as I said, in recent times, it looks like it's getting very difficult to get the top three strikers that we kind of want. And for me, the way I look at it, Ryan, is if it's not any of those three strikers, then I really, really don't want. There are people talking about get Danny Ings, get Andre Silva from Bundesliga. There's a few people saying Iheanacho. I don't want any secondary strikers. I don't want to get ourselves into trouble. We're European champions. We need to be going for the Premier League. I don't want to get these caliber of strikers. I want the creme de la creme. So for me, if I can't get that, I feel like we still need to address up front, because we cannot move into next season hoping that Timo Werner is going to click into gears. I really am hoping that he does click into gears. But I can't just imagine that he just, from the flick of a finger, he starts banging in goals, 20 goals in the Premier League. Havertz starts banging in 20 goals in the Premier League. Pulisic, Mason Mount, all of that. I feel like all of these players, they still have a bit of growth to do, and they need a certain quality up front to help them out. So for me, if it's not the three best of the best strikers, then someone like Sancho, who we have been linked with, Ryan, we 100% have been linked with, makes sense for me, because you look at how Thomas Tuchel kind of plays right now with the fluid front three. All the front three players, this is why we haven't seen Tammy play, because he's not fluid. He doesn't fit into that whole situation. Everyone sort of drifts around. Timo Werner predominantly stays on the left inside forward, but he then drifts around on the right side, sometimes goes in the middle. And similarly with Mount and Ziyech and everyone else. Kai Havertz, whenever he plays, he generally plays up the middle, but then he also drifts around at times. So first question that I want to ask you, Ryan, does this player profile of Sancho make sense to how Thomas Tuchel wants to sort of play?
I think it does make sense. I think we always have to take into consideration that if Sancho comes in, all of us want Mount, Havertz, Werner on the field at the same time. If Sancho does come in, one of those have to come out. And we know Mason Mount isn't coming out this lineup. He's irreplaceable at this point. So it's going to be either Havertz or Werner have to come out. And if you told me before we signed Havertz and Werner, I would say both are guaranteed 20 goals a season. Both are guaranteed. Now they have 1 year experience in the Premier League, and they are I think that they could deliver that. But as you said, we cannot bank on that, especially being the champions of Europe, when every other team around us is going to improve their squad. So I think that he is a type of player that can improve us because he has worked in this system before. I think that everybody looks at him and says, yes, he has the goal scoring ability, which we need right now, and he has that venom in front of goal, that lethalness. But one thing that stood out to me was in that front three, he was the most likely one to drop deep, to help in the build-up play, to help create chances, and he's very good at that. And he always has his head up, and he always finds the right passes at the right time. He always makes late runs into the box at the right time. And when he gets those chances, his finishing, one-touch finishing, not only tap-ins, but one-touch finishing from the edge of the box, from areas that's difficult to score. With low crosses from Venom, he can get on the end of those very well. So I think that for a very tricky player with so much skills and dribbling, he he picks and chooses when to use them wisely. He's not one of those players who would use too much tricks, get carried away, slow down play, not be a part of a system. He's very much a system player. When I was watching those matches and analyzing that team, he was part of a system, and he already fits a German system because much German teams, especially with that manager, I don't know his name, but he was very focused on pressing up high up the pitch, and Sancho had that covered. And out of the front three, Royce is on the back end of his career. Torgan isn't as quick, so Sancho used to pick up that weight and go from flank to flank and press, and he worked very, very hard in that team.
Just to interject, Ryan, in here, people tend to forget some of these very finer details. Thomas Tuchel, being a German coach, being someone who's supreme in pressing and counter-pressing and off-the-ball movement, Sancho is a player who's already in Bundesliga, who's already playing in this environment and understanding this philosophy. I understand he's linked to Man United, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is nowhere near the caliber of manager that Thomas Tuchel is. I mean, sometimes we need to look at these finer details as well for a player to, make their decision. I mean, look, the way I look at it, Ryan, and I've always said this, Sancho will only go to Man United purely because of money. I don't know how you can go to Man United thinking Man United is going to win any trophies under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer unless you as a player, you start thinking, well, Ole's not going to last forever. I'm going to sign the 5-year contract. And then once I see this off, I'm going to get myself a better coach and we can move on. But why would he want to do that knowing that he's probably got a ready-made sorted out at Chelsea with, as I said, the environment's already ready for him?
Yeah, I know. I like how you brought that up because he worked under a German coach who, not all German coaches are the same, but his philosophy was similar to Tuchel's philosophy in a way. The way they built up play and the way they pressed is similar. The pressing was very, intense, and it was very organized in a way. It was, and they, similar to us, they press with the 2 up front or 3 up front, and then the 2 CMs and then the 2 wing backs pushing up. So he is already ingrained into that system, into our system, and he works very well there too. So I think that he can easily fit in to our team and bring another dimension to our team. Another thing I'd like to say, though, on the other end of that is that I was analyzing Leipzig too. And Nagelsmann, in that season, he did experiment with a 3 at the back too. He did play games with 3 at the back, and Timo was one of the striking duo or left attacking mid. So, kudos to Tuchel for using Werner in that position. But as we said, Werner didn't learn how to press like that overnight.
Yeah.
He worked for a manager that their main way of getting the ball is through gegenpressing or pressing the ball. Because if you watch how Leipzig play, they don't really build play from the back like how we do with our diamonds and this and that. What they do is that they bring players back and then push players forward and create many space in the middle of the field so they could send long balls in that way.
Yeah.
So on long balls now, they would have 5 players ready to press that long ball and win the ball high up the pitch, then break into attacking 5, where they could have many touches around the box and play beautiful football. That's kind of opposite to us. I think Tuchel is amazing because I've watched about 3 or 4 managers, and Tuchel mixes philosophies. He mixes the long balls and the pressing, and then he mixes the build-up play with the diamonds. So we have a very well-balanced manager here. And I think that having a player who fits a club like Dortmund, who has played in that system, could work very well for us, especially with Euros and this and that. Who knows how much time you have with a proper preseason, how much break these players are going to get if they reach the final. We might need a player who can fit into our system right away, not someone who would need to be trained and ingrained as much.
Exactly. Now that's so well said, Ryan. We want to get into the tactical side of things now. I want to get Ryan to talk about a lot of diagrams and whatnot, and how Sancho would impact our team. But before we get to that, something just caught my eye. Charlie Robinson, you're coming up with some bangers today with comments. If United sign Kane and Sancho, all or not, they will win games. Now here's the thing, Charlie Robinson. Jose Mourinho also had Kane and Son and Gareth Bale as well, albeit Gareth Bale at the later end of the season. But overall, that Spurs team is not as bad as it kind of looked like. And Jose couldn't get the best out of them either. Spurs still ended up coming wherever they were, I think 6th or 7th or something like that. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that, if Kane goes and Sancho goes to Man United, then Ole can just chill back like this and let it all happen. I don't think so. Ole's team right now is not bad at all. Marcus Rashford, Mason Greenwood, Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Edison Cavani, all the other players, they're not a bad team. They're actually a very good. Well, they ended up coming second. So to say that whoever they get in and it's not going to matter because the caliber of players, I don't think so. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could not beat Villarreal. So Kane and Son could not beat Dynamo Zagreb. So I don't think it's as clear cut as that. Let's get into some tactical analysis, Ryan. I want to now talk about. I'm thinking. Let's look at if Sancho plays in the current system that we have, which is the 3 at the back and the wing backs. If he plays on the right side, how would the build up look like? How would the attack look like? Let's talk about that, and then slowly we'll move towards the left side and in the middle as well, and obviously how he would drop deep, to build up, and also off the ball movement. So let's start with the right side. Do you want me to bring up a particular diagram?
Yeah. Can you bring up that 4th picture I sent you? So it's the diamond on the right.
Diamond on the right. Let me bring that up. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just share the screen. Cool. There you go.
So for anybody who've watched my threads, no, I'm not assuming that every team with a 3 at the back builds play with a diamond. That's not true. Actually, half of them doesn't. They build play in different ways, different shapes, more centrally, more vertically. But for this particular team, when I studied them, they did build play through either flank. Not very horizontally, but not very vertically through the center, but through a diamond on the wing. I put LW there. The left winger is Sancho because Sancho started on the left wing. Royce was striker, and then Torgan Hazard was on the right wing. So what I realized here is that, similarly how we have a front 3 and we break into a striking duo, is that both of these managers, Tuchel and the other manager, I forgot his name, so sorry, they like to break into a striking duo so 2 strikers can run in behind at the same time and engage the center backs. When you have 2 strikers running behind, they are put in a dilemma, just like how we saw in the final. Werner running in behind and Havertz running in behind.
So in this case, Ryan, it would be RW, let's pretend that's Havertz, and ST would be Timo Werner.
Yes. So what Sancho, in the front 3, I'd like to say that Sancho is the most likely one enough in that front 3 to drop deep to help with the build-up play. As he possesses that skill to build play, and he also possesses that skill to turn and create chances. And that's something that's very underrated about Sancho. Everybody talks about his tricks, his finishing, this and that. But one thing is his ability to find the right pass at the right time. Even though he has all these tricks in his locker, he could find that right pass, and he could put his head up, and he's very mature for his age and his playing, especially with a tricky player like that. Many of those young players need time to mature, but I think that for a very young player, he's very mature. So yes, we see that we could break into a situation like this here. Not only that he can turn, but he also can drop a little bit deeper and get the CM and right wing back into play too.
Yeah.
And he could spread play from there. Can you go on to the picture moving forward? The other picture. That one. So he'd often get himself into positions like this when he comes to the right. The 2 wing backs would overlap, and he would have freedom to spray passes for the striking duo or for.
So he kind of becomes like an attacking midfielder.
Yeah, but the thing is, he has an ability that he's so quick that if he passes that ball to the, say, a right winger, then not left back but right winger, he is so quick that he can get into that box or in and around the edge of the box very quickly. And he has the one-touch finishing from not only tap-ins, but anywhere in that box, that
Yeah.
one-touch finishing to hit it into the goal. And that's
And I think
something
Ryan, I think someone was already asking that we need someone for the low blocks, because Ryan, predominantly we're going to be playing against low block teams. This becomes a very crucial attribute of Jadon Sancho, where if he can link up with this particular player, which is the RW here, and then they lay it off one touch in and around the box here, you're saying that Jadon has the capabilities to just snapshot from any of these angles in and around the box, yeah?
Yeah, I do believe that. I'm a big fan of improving the players you have. Just like how Lukaku's first touch wasn't the best and playing with his back towards the goal wasn't the best under Conte, and Conte said for the first 2 months straight, that's all he did with Lukaku. I think that having a player like Havertz, who has a 6'3" or 4 frame, we can train him to be an amazing target man and to help us in that aspect to break down low blocks with his header. We saw signs that he could header the ball, but maybe we can train that more. And we have a coach, not only a manager, we have a coach and a staff that can train that to fit our regime. And people have an idea of low blocks, but sometimes you need to think about how do teams get into low blocks in the first place, because sometimes build up play can take too long and they are allowed to get into a low block. I think that it's important to have a strategy, especially when you have a fluid front three like this, as to how can we create space on top, not necessarily a high line like how Liverpool has, and that's unrealistic to have every game, but maybe a medium block instead of a low block. How we can get situations that the team sets up a medium block instead of a low block. We need to put teams into a dilemma where they need to close down, or else something could happen, so they can't step back too much. And there are many situations and shapes you can put into place to ensure that happens in a game. So I think that our build-up play could be more direct at times. And we've seen that improving because in the recent games, even though we build on a diamond, you can see we like to get our strikers in behind as quickly as possible. And that's something that Lazio and Leipzig does a lot in their three at the back system. They try to get the players in behind as fast as possible with vertical passes. A vertical doesn't necessarily need to be centrally, but vertical can be like from a Rudiger, who plays those passes in behind, from a Chilwell, from even a Mount, who we see could do that now. So I think we have plenty options to break down low blocks if need be, if we build on Havertz's potential.
Yeah. No, fair play, man. That absolutely makes sense. Now, if he starts on the right, so this is, we've been talking about if he's on the right side. So if he potentially plays on the left, how would that look like?
If he potentially plays on the left, well, I sent you, let's get to that first, no, not first picture, second picture. Yeah, so we talked about that diamond, right? So I'm not gonna show another diamond on the left because you saw that on your screen for the past 5 minutes. It's just the same diamond, just on the left. But what happens is that instead of breaking into a striking duo, the left wing back would overlap. And that's what happens in this case with Chilwell. Anyway, we have an overlap in wing back. Again, here Sancho has the ability to, when you have a striker, a left striker, right? When you have two strikers, you have a left striker, a right striker, and a wing back. What you have is that you have two players within close proximity running in behind. So what that does is engage two defenders. When you engage two defenders, nobody can close down Sancho. So not only that, he has the freedom to pass in behind, he's a player that could cut in and shoot, or cut in and lay it, or cross it in for the other striker or the opposite wing back. So he has plenty
you know
options.
What, Ryan? We've seen him many times do that from these sort of positions where he's got the ball to be able to either drive forward or then very swiftly cut on the right and whip in a shot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that that's another thing he's really good at, and he really shows his one-on-one ability here. Yes, he's in a system where he could play one-touch passes and be smart. But another thing he can do, he could take that responsibility and take the game on his head. And he can, when he has that freedom in that position, and when he can create magic from there too. Something that I think that Pulisic does really well in. But the last part, the cutting in and shooting, is something that he could definitely improve on. And in addition to his final pass also.
No, 100%, 100%. Talk us, obviously this is all with possession. Before we get into other sort of big questions about, Sancho's impact, talk us a little bit about his off the ball sort of requirements that he needs to have playing under Thomas Tuchel. I mean, can he fit into our system in that manner?
Yeah, off the ball, as I said, he worked for a German manager before, so he has that pressing ingrained into him. As you know, we press the same diamond. As I said, we like to press centrally with our 3 strikers or 2 strikers, and then 3 CMs or 2 CMs. So they are forced to build the other team is forced to build on the flank instead of the center, right? Yeah. So what we would do now is that when they are forced to build on the left or right, we set up our same passing diamond, those same 4 players that I always make a diamond of. They not only pass to each other in attack, but they press together on defense too. And that's so important when you have 4 or 5 players in close proximity like that, squeezing down, and then you have 2 strikers waiting on top to run in behind. That creates a situation that we can win the ball in the opposition's half and then set 2 strikers in behind, which we see done multiple times. And Sancho definitely has the ability to, 1, press in that diamond, and 2, find that pass in behind to a Havertz, to a Werner, if need be.
Yeah, no, man, 100% makes sense. Let's now talk a little bit about, and live chat, please let us know any sort of questions. I'm going to drop the link very soon where I might be able to bring 1 or 2 of you guys to come and join us and ask us any sort of questions about this whole thing about, strikers and transfer markets and Jadon Sancho, or players like Jadon Sancho. So do keep an eye out for that. We'll be dropping the link very soon for you guys to join, to be able to ask us some questions. But before I do that, Ryan, I mean, does this sort of caliber of player make sense to you if we don't get an out-and-out striker? Are you one of those fans that would be happy to get a secondary striker, or would you be looking at a profile like Sancho, or maybe even Sancho, if we don't get the top 3 targets?
I think that I honestly feel that Havertz he's younger than Mason Mount, and look what the potential he showed. If he was a striker from our other team and we saw that potential, we would be begging to pay more than 100 million for him now, especially after that final, because we need a striker. And I think that I fully have faith that Havertz could become a top striker for us, and we can coach him to improve. This Havertz we're seeing here is not the end product. And we saw how much he improved in only a few month period. Imagine with a good preseason and continued improvement. So I would be open to a caliber of player who can play alongside Havertz. And since Havertz is more of a target man, you ever watch Lazio play much?
I haven't watched Lazio play much, man.
So he kind of reminds me of Savic, not because of how they play,
wow.
but their frame. Because Savic is a central midfielder and he goes in to join the front 3. If you're hearing rain, that's because it's raining heavily. But he joins the front 3 so that he can become that target man. Even though he's a central attacking midfielder, he has a 6'4" frame, and he can become that target man when the other 2 strikers, there are not target men, which is Immobile and someone else. So that's something we can take advantage of too, that Havertz has the ability to become a sort of target man if we train him and coach him to do so. So I'll be very open to having a goal-scoring winger who could come in, because right now I don't want to ruin the balance of our team.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin that balance. I think we're seeing more positive signs than negative signs. And then with a possible short preseason, because we're not sure how much of a player is going to return late, how much injuries could happen. I don't want to change. So I don't mind changing approaches and shapes and diamonds, but I don't think I'm ready to change a whole system yet.
Yeah, and me neither. Honestly, me neither, Ryan.
Like,
and then, go on.
I tweeted this. Tweeted this. So far, what Tuchel did, he integrated a three at the back system, and he saw week by week, you saw fine tweaks to the tactics, fine tuning. You know why? Because he only had 1 or 2 days per week to work on the training ground, other than recovery days and then match days. So we saw fine tweaks, but we haven't, even though Tuchel did a magnificent job doing these fine tweaks and the players to catch on to it, we haven't scratched the surface of what a three in the back system can be. Because I studied 15 teams who uses a three at the back system, right? And all of them use different ways to build play, to defend, to attack. And all of them have one thing in common. They have personnel who can adapt to different positions. And we haven't scratched the surface of the different combinations we could use, especially with players who are so versatile that we have. As Klopp said, we have players, it's a present of a squad we have. And it would be our team is tailor-made for a three at the back. When I watch our team, I see a tailor-made team for three at the back. There are some teams that you can't possibly see a three at the back with. And our team is that, and we should take full advantage of that. They cannot, if teams think they could figure us out, or they're playing themselves into a corner because the amount of combinations can be made, it is amazing. And I think that we can be a dominant force. So I don't want to bring in a player that to fit in this player, we need to change the whole system, because that's where Lampard's downfall was. He changed his system to fit in 6 new players when he had a system that was working okay to get top 4. What it would have been okay was integrating players into his system, but instead he had to change his system to suit 6 players. So I don't want that same thing here where we have to change a Champions League winning system to fit players, because on paper it looks like they could score a goal. But you know what? What if we bring in that player and they reach bad form? What do we do then? So you always try to work with what you have now. We have a guy from the Bundesliga who scored more than 30 goals. We have a next guy who was averaging 20 goals per season, and he's only 21. Yeah. So we have a striking duo that could combine to about 40 goals, 45 goals a season with the right confidence. And I'm not going to give up on that yet. And personally, for me, I wouldn't bring in someone who could ruin those two's dynamic, because those two has the potential to bring more than 40 goals per season.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. First of all, 122 people live right now. Smash the like button. Get it to at least 100 likes if you guys are enjoying this, because I'm going to start addressing some of these big questions around this whole striker situation, Sancho to Man United, what happens with all our wingers. I'm going to start addressing some of this right now. And also check out the pinned message that I've just put in the live chat, guys. If you want to come in and ask us some direct questions about the striker situation and Jadon Sancho, or a profile like Jadon Sancho, or whether you completely believe in what the options that we already have, please come in and share those thoughts and opinions with us. First of all, I do want to say this particular comment here from Alex. Alex, thank you so much. You always support the channel, so I do want to thank you heaps. Your comment here is Havertz, Werner, Pulisic, Ziyech, Mount, Callum. How many wingers should we have? The issue is, you're right, Alex. We've got a lot of wingers here, as you've mentioned, but we've already seen this season and last season as well, goals were a bit of an issue under Frank Lampard. This season as well, under Thomas Tuchel, when he's taken in, goals have been a bit of an issue. All of these players I believe in, but next season we need to be going for the Premier League. There is no chance to dilly-dally around and hope that all of these players. Timo Werner, he's got a clear issue in regards to finishing. We've all seen that. Now, if we can flick the finger next season and he starts banging goals, I'm all up for it. But is it really probable? I'm not sure. It's a bit of a gamble to think that this is 100% going to happen. Pulisic this season, once again, injury prone. He's barely played that many games. And then when he started finally playing, he wasn't getting into his groove the way he kind of got into groove last season at the end. So there's still question marks in regards of his consistency. Ziyech, this particular formation, which we kind of think that we shouldn't change, if it's not broken, why change it? As Ryan was already saying, why change the dynamics if it's working? We have not scratched the surface of what three at the back and the wing backs can do. It can be very dynamic. So then you need to start asking, well, how does Ziyech fit in when you already have Mason Mount and Timo Werner taking two of the front spot? Then, and if we start penciling Kai Havertz, then what happens to Ziyech? And you guys know how much I love Ziyech. I would love to see him in the team, but then there's a question mark about that. And Callum Hudson-Odoi, do we even need to ask a question in regards to how I don't think he's developed this season? As much as I want to be very patient with Callum Hudson-Odoi, last season, I know he came back from injury, but it sort of didn't go anywhere, and that's fine. We thought, okay, we'll see what happens this season. This season, again, bits and pieces. He's played, he's started. Sometimes he's looked great, sometimes not so much. Sometimes Thomas Tuchel has believed in him. Sometimes he has not even started him. So I don't know how much Callum has really developed this season. And there's already rumors that Callum could be going to Dortmund and we could get someone like Sancho. So this is my whole ideology as to I believe in the players that we have, but we need to win the Premier League. We need to be challenging. We can't be so far behind next season. And I'm not sure if I'm just going to go with the same lot again next season, not giving them something extra like Jadon Sancho. Now, a few other comments are talking about why not go for a striker. By the way, Roy, I'm going to bring you in very, very soon. Just please hang about in the background. I will bring you in, Roy, very soon. The other one is a lot of people saying we just need a striker. As I've already mentioned, the striker situation, Kane, Haaland, and Lukaku are the three top strikers at the moment. Tell me any other strikers that you want in that sort of caliber, I'm all up for it, but I don't think there is. Don't give me any secondary ones. I don't want Danny Ings. I don't want Andre Silva. I don't want Iheanacho. I don't want any of those sort of secondary players because they are not better than Kai Havertz. In that case, I might as well play with Kai Havertz. And the whole talk about Jadon Sancho to Man United, that looks very, very probable. Yes, it does. But nothing is certain until it is done and dusted. We literally thought 24 hours ago that Antonio Conte was 100% going to Spurs. Look what happened in the last 12 hours to 24 hours. Antonio Conte, he's said, thank you very much. I'm not going to Spurs. And there's been many other cases like that. You know, Willian almost signed for Spurs and ended up signing for us. So look, we are 100% in for Jadon Sancho. There's the rumors are there. Whether that happens or not, that's a different story. What we are trying to discuss here is that do we need that level of a profile if we don't get a striker? Let's bring in Roy. Roy, my man, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. So my point here is that we are going for Lukaku and Kane and Haaland, but I don't think Lukaku is a good option for us because already he failed at Man United. Look at these stats. He was not that great at Man United, right? So
yeah,
now
have a look at his time in West Brom and Everton as well, man, and Inter Milan.
Oh come on, man! West Brom and Everton is not a top club. When he was moved to a top club, he failed. I mean, not full.
You don't think Inter Milan is a top club?
It's Serie A. It's not Premier League.
They just want the Serie A.
You know what? You know, after Serie A is my favorite league.
Yeah, I respect that. But end of the day, Premier League is a whole different level, right?
True.
Even Shevchenko couldn't perform here. If you look at the strikers performed in Serie A and what they achieved here, you will see the difference. Higuain, look at Higuain. What did he do here? Nothing. So now
I don't think there's a really good comment here, Roy. I just want to bring this in. Lukaku didn't fail at Man United. I'm not sure about the complete stats. He was still banging in goals for Man United. He just probably wasn't as prolific as, because I still remember for Everton, he was very prolific. He absolutely threatened many of the big clubs, and he actually did very well at Everton. And West Brom, correct me if I'm wrong, live chat, there's 163 people. I think he scored 17 Premier League goals at West Brom. So, I mean, the boy is a finisher. Do you know what I mean, Roy?
I think that around watching all the leagues, right? You can definitely see the different personalities in different leagues. I think that the biggest, well, I'm going to compare our managers' play to the German league, right? Our manager likes to win the ball high up the pitch as possible so we can get chances as much as possible, right? What I realize about Syria is not that it's less pace than people think that less pace than the Premier League means that they pass quicker or this and that, or they shoot quicker or this and that. It's not that, or they go back and forth quicker. It's not really that. What happens is that teams in Syria like to recycle play. What that means is that when they win back the ball, they don't really gug and press to win back the ball as high as possible. They rather win back the ball in their own half so they can recycle play, get into position, make the diamonds and triangles, and then push forward. But that doesn't mean they can't handle a fast-paced nature of play. Actually, when you watch Syria, it's very hard to track and understand shapes and this and that because they do have those third-man passes. It's very up and down. It's organized chaos in a way. And plenty of the Premier League sometimes is disorganized chaos. But I think that Syria, if you can become a top player in Syria, I have no doubt that you can fit into Tuchel's system because both are very tactical. And being able to take on tactical information and implementing it is a underrated quality of a player. And Lukaku has done that with Inter Milan. He's taken his instructions on and become one of the best strikers in the world.
100%. But yeah, Roy, what's your thoughts? So if it's not Lukaku, I mean, are you in for Sancho at all, or what's your thoughts as to striker situation?
My first choice will be Erling Haaland. That's my first choice.
So here's I completely get your first choice. I think that would be many people's first choice. Here's a scenario, right? I mean, us fans, we can want whoever we want, right? Erling Haaland next season, I think his buyout clause trigger comes in and it's 75 million. So this season, if you want him, they're slapping somewhere around 150 million plus the wages that Erling Haaland is demanding is something that will absolutely rattle the Chelsea wage structure because he's touted to want something around £400,000 to £500,000 a week or something like that, or even more, because he knows his quality. Can you imagine how someone like Mason Mount would feel knowing that he's Chelsea's player of the season? He's already done so much. You know, someone like even, I don't know, let's say Thiago Silva or X, Y, and Z. So that I don't think it's completely plausible at the moment to get Haaland. So I completely appreciate you asking for that particular name, but it may not be realistic. And at the same time, Dortmund, they're looking to let go of Sancho, and I can't really imagine them letting go of both their superstars, knowing that they're in the Champions League next season.
Yeah, you're probably right about the wage structure and all, but there is scope of negotiation, right? I mean, but when we signed Havertz, I think, what's the wage of Havertz and Mount? Can someone confirm? I think Havertz has more wage than Mount, right?
I think he does.
Yeah.
Mount, I think is probably not even 100,000. I think he's less than 100,000.
Yeah. So they got along all right. I mean, when Havertz was signed, I didn't think any issue will happen inside the team, and same will go for Haaland, in my opinion.
Yeah, but the comparison here, Roy, is that Havertz came in before the season that Mount had this season. Mount's last season was very good, no doubt about that. But Havertz had a fantastic season with Bayer Leverkusen as well. So from that comparison, I don't think Mount would have any complaints that Havertz gets more. But I think Havertz this season will start demanding more money because he's actually had a fantastic season. So from that perspective, had Havertz came in now, I think Mount would have some complaints because he wouldn't want to get paid less than Havertz. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Your point is that since Mount won the Champions League with us now, that doesn't make sense, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a fair point. I agree. I absolutely agree. But looking at the scenario, I'm not so sure that Havertz, if we go on without any new signings, Havertz and Timo Werner are good enough to lead us to a Premier League title. I'm just not so sure. Werner is misfiring. If you see last season and the chances he got, and the misses are just awful, right? But I mean, Harry Kane, I don't think Tottenham will sell him sell
Nah.
Harry Kane to us.
No way.
I don't see it. No way.
I just
No
want to
way.
add something
Yeah.
that either way, even though I do want Kai to be our striker next season, I do think we do need a other striker. Even though Giroud is re-signed for a year, we know that Havertz struggled with muscle injuries in the past year. He's had 3 muscle injuries, and last thing I want is a serious muscle injury that's out for a month or two, and we have to count on only Giroud, our false 9, who is short and can't head a ball, and then we are just limited in play. So I think that I know people saying Danny Ings. I am a fan of Danny Ings. He's a deadly finisher, and he's a really good Premier League striker, and he's in the prime of his career too. So I think that would be open to having another striker in addition to Giroud being there.
Yeah, now fair enough. I mean, we'll touch quickly on that, Danny Ings. But Roy, thank you so much for your time. I do want to bring in another caller. Victor is ready to go. So thank you so much, Roy, for your time.
Thank you.
Victor, my man, how you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you in the channel again. Before we talk about the whole Jadon Sancho and the strikers, I just want to address what Ryan said about Danny Ings. Ryan, I completely agree. I think Danny Ings is a very good striker, very underrated. People need to realize the madness that he's doing at Southampton. But I don't think he's someone who's going to be able to lead our line. He can possibly be a backup to Kai Havertz or Timo Werner as they rotate. So I'm all open for that. But the way I'm sort of looking at it, Ryan, is that we are European champions and we are going to be gunning for the Premier League. We don't need, I feel like we don't need someone like Danny Ings. Like if that's the case, then give Tammy Abraham a break. Do you know what I mean? Just let the man play. Do you know what I mean? Why are you getting another sort of secondary striker? Get yourself a top dog or just trust on what you already have. Do you know what I mean? That's sort of my angle that I'm going with. Victor, what's your thoughts, man? Jadon Sancho, do you like that at all? Or a profile like Jadon Sancho if we don't get our top 3 strikers?
Yeah, it will definitely be a backup option in case we don't get any striker. And they might have to play up top with Kai and Timo or Kai and Mount. He's definitely a very good option to have, 100%. If we don't get any strikers. But my only worry is I'm not sure the price. And I'm not sure if...
I think Jadon Sancho is going to be less priced. The Dortmund's come out and said that it's not going to be as high as what they kind of said last season because his contract is sort of running lower and lower every season. So I think the rumor was something around 75 million pounds. So that, you know, it's not going to be as crazy as what it was last season where there was somewhere around 100 million, 110 million. So they are bringing the price down.
Yeah, and also the players who play the Deadwood need to get rid of our club because of the wage structure and all that. Doesn't disturb the wage. Also playing time so players are not uncomfortable, like players like Hudson-Odoi who wants to force himself into the first team. I knew Jadon Sancho comes in, he goes straight into the first team ahead of Hudson-Odoi and Hakim Ziyech. 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So that's get rid of those players first before they think of. That's why I think Chelsea are stalling it, because if Chelsea really wanted Sancho, they would have had him by now. Because
I mean, look, at the end of the day, transfer season hasn't started yet. I think it opens up. I'm not sure the exact date, but it hasn't definitely started yet. Maybe after the Euros, I think it opens up.
Yeah. And I think like big moves like that, to avoid publicity, players would want to do their move after the Euros.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, Victor, are you open to that kind of a transfer, or are you sort of thinking, no, we've already got a lot of our, you know, Callums and the Ziyech's and the Pulisic, and we trust them? I mean, are you happy to trust the current group to go for the Premier League next season, or do you definitely need a high caliber player to come in?
There's nothing wrong with strengthening to try and compete for the title, because you can tell we do need like clinical, creative players in the team. Like we struggled in some games against low blocks. Jadon Sancho was brilliant against low blocks. I think we should get him. I think if he's available, and if Haaland's not coming, if Lukaku's not coming, if Kane's not coming, we might just have to force Kai into that false 9 for one more season and play a more creative player beside him who can also feed him the ball, just make him more impactful and make him more effective, like driving at players. He's good at one-on-ones. He's good at all the play. He's basically what we want Hudson-Odoi to be. Sancho is what we want Hudson-Odoi to be. So if we have a player that's that effective, we can just push it forward and bring him in now. And maybe he could teach Hudson-Odoi to some things if he comes in. So Hudson-Odoi can be the player that we all want him to be.
No, fair point. Ryan, I do want to ask you this question. We wanted to ask this during the tactical presentation that you did. Ryan, if we, for example, argument's sake, we say that we don't get those 3 strikers and we do get someone like Sancho, who does he replace in that starting lineup in the current setup?
See, that's the thing. It's a weird thing. I think we'd have to probably go to 4-3-3 if we get him, because that what we like to do, what most teams with a 3-5-2 like to do, they like to branch off to a 3-5-3. A 3-4-3, and that one central midfielder would end up being the winger, whether it's on the left or right side. And that's exactly what Mason Mount does for us. He can be a LCM, and then he could go up to left wing or right wing if need be. We switch towards that. And one thing I'm not sure is if Sancho would play that role in a 3-5-2. I don't think that we want Sancho as a LCM. We'd much rather have him as a winger and inverted winger in a way. And I think that that's one reason why if I have Sancho and Mount in a team, I would pick Mount still, because he's very much more versatile than he's a midfielder and winger in one, and that's crazy to find in a player, especially at age 22 or 21. So I think that if we do bring in a Sancho, that's the thing. There need to be some really hard thinking done.
Could we not play with Sancho, Havertz, Mount?
Sancho, Havertz, Mount. We could do that, but
or do you feel that we then lack the skill set that Timo brings off the ball?
I think that then you have 2 creators and one person running behind, and that instinctual running in behind that Werner brings, or a striker. It doesn't need to be Werner, but a hybrid striker, which we see in a lot of. That's what, like, Werner is a dream for the system, because what every manager wants is hybrid strikers in that front 3, and that's what I've seen studying all these, like whether it's Immobile, whether it's Werner, whether it's Lautaro Martinez, whether it's any other players like that. We'll love a hybrid striker in that role who can drop and run in behind if need be. And I think that it's very hard for me to drop Werner now. We have a guy who is trained by Nagelsmann, who knows the press, who knows the system, who played very well in a 3 at the back system in Leipzig when they did play with that system. So I think that I am counting on Werner, and I hope that he can turn things around, because you can get in a player who could finish, but would he get as much chances as Werner? Maybe not, because instinctually what Werner does off and on the ball, it's hard to find. It's like people try to replace Jorginho for someone who could pass better or run faster. He could run faster, but would he be in the same position as Jorginho is? And that's a different thing. It's like, get somebody who's better at one quality, but the other 9 qualities, is he better? And that's a huge question. True. And I do not believe Werner is a bad finisher either. A guy doesn't score more than 25 goals consistently in the past 3 seasons just to be called a bad finisher. And people say, oh, well, it's a Bundesliga, not Premier League. To me, Bundesliga and Premier League are so similar, because you know how I said that Serie A takes time to regroup, recycle players so they can get into their shape. Nah, Bundesliga don't care about that. They're slugging it ahead as fast as possible to break on the counter. It's back and forth like the Premier League. And I think that to be a top player in the Bundesliga, you can't be a top player in the Premier League too. So I don't like this idea that Premier League fans have that La Liga isn't good, Serie A isn't good, Bundesliga isn't good, because I mean, it's top leagues, and I think that Werner is for 50 million. He's gonna be one day we're gonna look back and say, wow, we got him on the low, because I think he could average 25 goals a season for us.
No, fair point. Victor, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to bring in Jules now. So thank you so much for your time, Victor.
Thank you. Cheers.
Jules, my man, how you doing? Jimmy Hasselbank in the house.
Yeah, I just got home, mate. I was listening to you on the train, really. So yeah, then I couldn't join in. Yeah.
Brilliant. Jules, look, there's some as we've been talking about in this stream already, that there's some really big concerns about getting a top striker next season, because it seems like Lukaku wants to stay in Inter Milan. Look, we don't know. Maybe it may happen, but at the moment, it looks like he wants to stay. Yeah, Haaland seems like you're going to have to break the bank, and I don't know if Dortmund's going to lose two big players in the one window with Haaland and Sancho. That seems like
Dortmund, they could. I mean, Dortmund are like, they just sell. They're selling club, basically. That's what.
Yeah, it may happen, but it looks probably not that probable, right? And then you look at someone like Harry Kane, which is, I don't know if he joins a rival. Forget about them. So I'm sort of thinking hypothetically, if that's the case, would someone like Sancho, and I know some of the live chat people are going, oh, Sancho's already, negotiating with United. It's not a done deal, mate. Like, he's been negotiating with United for a long time, and it's never happened. And someone also asking, why would he join Chelsea? He's already going to United. Why would he want to go to United? That's my question.
Yeah,
why would you want to go to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Why? That is a club that can't beat Villarreal in Europa. Like, tell me why he would want to go there. Is it money? We can probably provide him the same sort of money here. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is an inept manager. Why do you want to go there? So I don't even want to hear about that. Look, he may very well go there. I don't know. He may very well go to United, but I'm just saying that we are definitely linked with him. So, but Jules, coming back to you, if we're not getting the top caliber strikers, are you okay with a profile like Sancho to come in? Because someone just commented here, which was very good. Someone like a Mo Salah kind of a winger that is assisting and providing goals, and someone like Havertz and Timo Werner could really reap the benefits of a profile of a winger like Sancho.
As a winger is one thing. If we're going to play this front three with the wing backs and all that, then you're looking at three players who can all contribute to goals. So then we're basically talking about replacing Werner here. But let me just get onto Sancho. If we're not getting a striker that's going to give us a lot of goals, then we should be getting an attacking player who will get us goals, right? Or we should be getting somebody who's maybe
who can create as well.
Creation is one thing, but the team overall, if you look at the team, we do create a lot of chances if it's not a low block, right? True. So mostly the problem that we have is finishing, because if you create a lot and nobody finishes, at some point, if you see around, you don't even pass it through, the other team also gains more confidence, right? So personally, I do like Sancho as a player. I'm not necessarily sure that saying like, okay, this is a stopgap thing, so let's get Sancho until maybe next year it clears up. I'm thinking, then why don't we go for an attacking midfielder who can get us maybe 10, 15 goals? Because, I mean, Sancho, last season, he got 8 goals in the Bundesliga. I just checked, actually. I'm not entirely sure with the other ones. He does play well. But isn't he coming to give us some sort of creation just like a Ziyech will do? Or an occasional Callum will give us? Why don't we go for, say, an Andre Silva? Or even a Joao Felix, who give us something different to think about, right? Or maybe say
Andre Silva, Jules, are you convinced with Andre Silva, man? I mean, I don't know. He didn't do that well.
Goals.
He's got a lot of goals in the Bundesliga, but I don't know if he was really that great in AC Milan. I believe he was in AC Milan before this.
I'm not entirely sure though, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're doing a stopgap thing to get a striker, then I think you should go for somebody who will guarantee you a lot of goals, i.e. has scored a lot in the past. And yeah, at some point, you give you something different as well. And then next season, we can get the striker that we want. And maybe if we're lucky, he might give us something extra, like maybe run the channels like a Timo does. But then that's the thing. Are we going to play the 4-3-4-3 thing like we always do? Because if you're playing 3-4-3, again, if somebody plays a low block, then we are gonna still run into the same problem, because at the moment, until Werner gets his scoring boot on, we still have the same problem, right? That really concerns me at the moment. Yeah, personally, I would go with, say, an Enesiri, or could we get a Lewandowski? I mean, he's getting to the end of his contract, isn't he?
Bro, I don't know if he's gonna. I mean, why would he want to leave Bayern Munich? Do you know what I mean? Why would he want? He's got it made over there. So I know he's coming to the end of his contract, but how old is he going to be at the end of his contract?
32.
32. I mean, is that the kind of player that we want at 32? Like,
not long term, that short term, maybe. Oh, we already signed Giroud, didn't we?
I just want to say something.
Yeah.
Thinking about Havertz, right? And all the teams I watched who plays this system, I think it's a dream to have a potential target man who is so mobile as Havertz. It's a dream to have them in a dynamic front three, which three at the back formations need a dynamic front three.
Exactly.
It mightn't be as dynamic as having three Pulisic's, but it's dynamic to have a mobile striker, whether he's a target man or not. And having a guy who you can develop, it's like seeing heart eyes, because you have a guy who can make one of a really good target man. He has all the makings of being a really good target man, and he is mobile. I think with Werner and Havertz, they are two model players who you'd want in a 3-5-2 with the Mount coming in to make it a 3-4-3. And I think that these guys have the instinct for their position, a weird instinct that I know they've both played in this system before for several games, maybe not all games, but a couple games before they come to Chelsea. And instinctually, when I watch Werner and I watch other strikers play in the Werner role, like a Lautaro Martinez or Immobile or this and that, in a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, he's tailor-made. He's everything you'd want in that guy, except for the finishing, which I think it will improve. And Havertz is everything you want from a target man in this who is mobile. I think we have two players that, if we train them right and coach these players, coach, push, that we can get 40 goals off of these two players. And
I have a question actually, right? Here's the thing. So if we're getting one extra forward in that manner, then who is he replacing? Because, like you said, what I see in Havertz is incredible potential. This season he was decent, he wasn't extraordinary, but you could see it. You could see the gliding, you could see the movement. There was something there, right? Mason Mount, I mean, we don't even have adjectives for Mason Mount anymore, right? I mean, the guy is just priceless. Timo, my problem here is we bought him for goals. And it's not like, I mean, sometimes you see that the moves are there, just like I see with Havertz. I see that sometimes he gets in the position, he's not shooting hard, he just scuffs it a bit and what. You see that something's there. With Timo, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. It really concerns me. And Kai is 22. He can be trained to get better. Timo is already 25. These are things that should be coming out of instincts. So in a Champions League final, if somebody crosses you the ball and you hit it with your left foot and it hits your right foot, then I'm beginning to think, shouldn't we look into replace this guy? I mean, should we be taking him with additional money to Dortmund and say, Dortmund, how about that Haaland thing?
And I think that there are players on the market who you can get for 35 million or 30 million who has those similar, and they could compete with Werner for that role. I'm down for having competition. And I think that, but if we're going to get a player, I wouldn't want a player, if Mount is in that front three, because he's coming from a midfield trio to be a front three, right? That's Mount's role.
Yeah.
I would not want another winger who is a creator. I would want a creator, but someone who has an instinct to run in behind, like an Immobile, like a Lautaro Martinez. Not Martinez. Really Martinez too expensive, but Immobile could be a really good player. He's 31 years old.
He can stretch the play as well, can't he? He can stretch the play as well. He has that capability, Immobile.
Yeah, and he has a very good finishing, and he could be on the cheap because Inzaghi just left Lazio, and they even have a new manager yet. I mean, there's persons in the market that you can get so much teams play this system and they have that hybrid striker. There's about 10 teams right now that plays this system, and you could get a player like that who'd want to join the champions of Europe, especially knowing that Werner's out of form. They'd want to come and take that place.
Mates, I actually wanted to ask you this question. Do you think that Thomas Tuchel actually fancies a bit center forward? I'm not really sure. I started thinking about it recently, right? And I realized that he was the one. Wasn't he the one that let Aubameyang leave Dortmund?
Well,
right?
here's the thing, Jules. Yeah. When I heard the Lukaku rumors, Jules, I got very excited. But then I quickly started thinking, well, has Thomas Tuchel ever had a player like Romelu Lukaku? You know, Dortmund, it was Aubameyang. Aubameyang is not like Romelu Lukaku. He likes to play from the shoulder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he likes to play behind the defenders, whereas Romelu Lukaku is a focal point.
Exactly.
Then I sort of thought about PSG. He had Neymar, Mbappe, Cavani, but Cavani.
And he let Cavani move on as well, didn't he?
And he let Cavani move on as well. Exactly.
I was thinking about this morning. I was
and Jules, like, you can see what he's already trying to create in Chelsea, the very fluid front three. That's why Tammy Abraham doesn't get an opportunity.
Exactly. Do you know something interesting too? When they asked him once, who was your favorite striker? Do you know who he mentioned? Ousmane Dembele.
Yeah.
That's the kind of players he likes. Maybe that's why Timo plays all the time, right? He's not really into the target man. He likes fluid players.
He doesn't want one player to just stay stable. He wants them to move around.
Because of the way we hold the ball, right? So maybe we're all looking at it from the wrong angle. Maybe like an Immobile or something would be the perfect kind of player that he wants, and he's just letting the whole Haaland thing go on.
That's why I was saying the Sancho link, as many people are still suggesting he's going to Man United. I get that. I know he's linked with it, but I'm saying this is why you need to understand the profile of player that Sancho. It's a possibility. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's looking for. But Jules, my man, thank you so much for your time. I've got another few more callers ready to come in. I'll let you go. I'm sure I'm going to have you in the channel.
Hit the like button. This is like one of the best Chelsea programs ever.
I love you, man. I love you so much.
All right, man. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Jules.
Yo,
Tom,
I just wanna. Oh,
yeah, go on, man. Right?
No, Tom. Hello, Tom.
Yeah,
Tom, how you doing, my man?
Say what you're gonna say. Say what you're gonna say.
Yeah, go on, Ryan.
I just want to say that Tuchel doesn't fancy. We could assume, because we don't know for sure, that he doesn't fancy a target man. But in the Premier League, we can see against low blocks, we were struggling to break them down due to a lack of target man. And you see, people think about target man with player with their back toward behind goal. I mean, back towards goal, holding up play. When I think about target man, maybe Tuchel doesn't need that because we play so fluid and we count so much on pressing to create chances, this and that, and long balls in. Maybe what we need is someone who could be an aerial presence in the box, because the French league is different. With English is known for 4-4-2 low blocks. The Premier League, more than Bundesliga, more than La Liga, more than Serie A, more than other leagues. We are known for 4-4-2 low block. That's the English way of playing football. And in Havertz, we have a guy who, even Tammy, I mean, we have an aerial presence. Tammy is not slow at all. I mean, he can play not as fluid as Havertz, but we could still have an aerial presence in the box, because nothing hurts me more than seeing Ziyech, Pulisic, and Werner in a box trying to head a ball when our main way of playing is sending crosses in, because we play horizontal, we don't play vertical. So what's the point of playing horizontal in a low block with no person who could head a ball?
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? So Havertz is an answer to everything in life. You need something to eat, Havertz. You need somebody to talk to, Havertz. You need a target man, Havertz. Let's go.
I honestly would want to give Havertz a proper opportunity next season, but I'm just worried that he's so young. I can't expect 20 plus goals from him. But that's for another, sort of broader conversation. But I want to bring in Tom. Obviously, Tom's here. Tom, before I do get into introducing you properly, I just want to quickly read this comment from Dhruv, which made me laugh. Kane should talk to Giroud and ask him how his experience at Chelsea has been after leaving a mid-table team. Honestly, I mean, Kane really needs to think about it. I mean, now they've even bottled the whole context situation, so I'm not really sure why he would want to stay there. I've got Tuchelista in the background. Tuchelista, just hang in there. We want to have a quick conversation with Tom, and then we'll bring you in. Tom, my man, what do you think about this whole situation? I mean, if we don't get ourselves one of the, the top 3 dogs out there in terms of the strikers, are you happy with a profile like Sancho, or as Ryan said, someone like Immobile, someone who sort of can play that winger striker role, much like, Mo Salah type of player? What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah. Well, coming, from a rival fan perspective, I'll admit I'm a Man United fan, and all that you've said about who's such as Sancho and stuff. Sancho, Tuchel likes these sort of profile players. Sancho's very like how Dembele was when he was at Dortmund, and you can see the similarities there. The numbers might not add up as being similar maybe in recent years, but a player like Sancho, not in my personal opinion, I think he would go straight into Man United's starting lineup as opposed to Chelsea, because I think Chelsea, there's a lot more competition in the attacking ranks. And you only need to add one more player in, and that's that striker position. And I don't think you'll buy any attackers for probably a good few years unless somebody wants to ship out or something. So it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if you went out there and wanted to blow all your money on getting this main striker that you need, or you could easily just hold on to what you've got for now, make do. I think Tuchel would be happy to make do with what he's got, because he's clearly working for him as of right now since he took over at the club. He got you to an FA Cup final and then the Champions League final, and albeit he won it. And then obviously you could go into the next year's summer. You're not going to have to pay. You're going to be paying pretty much half the price if you wanted to go and get Erling Haaland for 75 million with a clause that's in his contract. I know a lot of clubs are going to look at wanting to attract it and stuff, but if this Chelsea team keeps playing the way it is, and if they mount a proper title challenge, say, next year, it wouldn't surprise me if Haaland would want to go to a club like Chelsea, just based on the fact of that. And money's not a problem at a club like Chelsea. Chelsea spend whatever it is. If they want to play that badly, and a manager wants a player as badly as Tuchel probably wants to play, like the profile of Haaland or Lukaku, these kind of players, or even a Sancho, indeed, they will go all out and get this player no matter what. No matter what, and everything that gets said in football is every player has a price, and it's just whether that club is prepared to pay that price to get the player or not. And in Chelsea's book, you don't really need, speaking it from a rival fan perspective, I don't think you need to sign anybody else other than get a centre-foot, get a proper striker in. That's the only position that you probably need to get. And then once you've got that, you're pretty much on lockdown, and then you could probably kick on for the title next year. It wouldn't surprise me if you were to challenge for the title ahead of, say, other clubs like Man United and stuff, where it takes us all summer to sign somebody like Sancho. For Chelsea, it'll take them maybe a week at most. And this is where you talk about high-profile signings. Chelsea's the more attractive club right now. But it all depends on if you can fit into the team. And if you're wanting to go for this profile striker, in my personal opinion, in Chelsea's view, you either go out there and you get someone like Immobile such as Lazio. Lazio don't even have a manager right now. So Immobile...
I think they might have just signed up Gattuso. I think so.
No, Gattuso's Fiorentina.
Fiorentina. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Lazio don't have a manager.
I think Sarri is going to go Lazio.
Oh, fair enough.
It wouldn't surprise me, but like I've just said about Immobile, if you want to go and get a striker right now, I think he's probably the best option, because he doesn't know who the manager's going to be. You could say the same for Harry Kane, but I don't think Harry Kane would go to Chelsea, just out of respect for Tottenham, and I don't think Levy would sell him to you anyway.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But if you're going to go for a player as of right now, I think Immobile. If you're going to look at more of a long-term option, then I'd join the bidding war in going and getting Haaland, to be honest with you, because if Chelsea mount the proper title challenge, it's still going to be a major attraction, and it's not long since that you would have still won the Champions League anyway. And then, you might even go and replicate and win it again next year. Nobody knows in football what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And, like I've said, every player has a price. But if you want to go get somebody right now, my personal opinion, Immobile, if you want a long-term option and play the waiting game, then I'd probably wait it out for Haaland, to be honest, because you're going to be saving pretty much half the money. If you want to go get him now, you're going to pay 150 million.
150 million minimum.
Yeah. Oh yeah, minimum.
Does he have a release clause for next season?
Yeah, 75.
Yeah,
75.
That's a bargain, though.
Yeah, but you know how many clubs are going to be after him next season?
Yeah, but we're going to win Champions League again, so it's okay.
Yeah, the wages as well, Tom, is a big factor for someone like Haaland. And he was touted to be asking for somewhere in excess of 500,000 a week, somewhere even saying $1 million recently, I think someone quoted. So I'm not sure if that's always a possible. I know Roman Abramovich, for a fact, it's been floating around for a while now, that he definitely loves Haaland. He likes Haaland a lot. So long term, this 100% makes sense. But what it does, I suppose, in the intermediate sort of situation, when you bring in someone like Haaland, what it does to the entire team, I'm not entirely sure. Do you know what I mean? And at the same time, I'm not entirely sure if Haaland wants to join Chelsea. That's the thing. I always had this feeling he wanted Man City because of his father's connection over there, how his dad once upon a time played over there. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that.
Yeah. Well, it all just plays a part. I think even if, you spoke about in the past and stuff, if Leeds United was still a big name and had still the big finances right now, he'd probably want to go back there. He said about that would probably be one of his lifelong ambitions toward the end of his career, would go and do what his father did at Leeds, or like you just said about Man City. There's always going to be those links and probes there. I know it was before he went to Dortmund, there were all the crap about him going to Man United, and I remember as a Man United fan was getting hyped over it. And I thought, all he's got is a managerial connection from 3 years ago with our manager at Molde. Like, it's not exactly like he's been in the youth system or something, and he's going to wanting to come back or anything. And then it all fizzled out because of me and Areola anyway. But like you just said about the wages, I think that's going to play a major factor, and also, with it being me and Areola, the agent fees are going to be through the roof for a player like that. Because he already did. If he can get £10 million for a player like Cavani on a free, you can get £10 million for players like Cavani on a free transfer. Donnarumma's probably going to go to a big club, at some point, and he's going to want major fees for him just because he's one of the best prospect goalkeepers in the world. Yeah. And you look at Haaland, he's probably a future Ballon d'Or winner. This is probably a future Ballon d'Or winner alongside players like Mbappe. So if you want to pay for these players, you can talk all you want about the transfer fee, but when you actually add up how much you're going to have to pay them per week to go along with the players that you've already got that you have to pay high wages to with your wage structure, then it's going to add up. And then suddenly you're starting to think, well, if we get this player, what if we have a major injury crisis? We can't buy anybody else because we haven't got the finances to do it. We've obviously facilitated it all on paying wages to one major player. And then if you want to sign a new contract with a player and the player's improved even more, then they're going to want even more money. And then suddenly you're talking even crazier wages. So long term, if you want to go and get Haaland, 4 or 5 years, probably a stable person to do it. But if you're going to get somebody now, then an Immobile wouldn't be a bad option, to be honest, for Chelsea, I don't personally think.
Yeah, no, fair point. Tom, thank you so much for your time, my man. I'm going to bring in another phone caller live in Tuchelista. Tom, thank you so much for your time, my man.
Yeah, no problem, mate. See you later, guys.
Take care. Bye. Tuchelista, my man, how you doing?
Hey, Miz. How's it going?
Good.
Big fan of the show, as you already know, probably. But I'm very, very happy to be here, man.
Brilliant, man. Before we get into talking to you, first of all, live chat has been buzzing today. Over 160 people. At one stage, there was close to 180. Please smash the like button. Number one, helps the channel out a lot. And also, thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers, which we hit yesterday. I will do a proper post and a video very soon on that. So do look out for that. So thank you always for supporting this channel. Honestly, without you guys, we are nothing. And this channel is nothing. So thank you so much for that. And also, Ryan is here providing all these tactical sort of diagrams and presentation. Please check out his socials in the description right now and follow him and, really support him in social media. So please go and do that. We've got close to 160 people. Go out there and follow Ryan right now. Tuchelista, my man. First of all, if we are hypothetically sort of thinking, which kind of looks like it's the case because Giroud is another one that we've just signed a contract now, whether we signed a contract extension because we're going to let him go and get some money. I'm not really sure. It could also be the fact that maybe we're not going to get any of the strikers that we desire. The three big ones that we sort of want is Kane, Lukaku, Haaland. It's probably not going to happen. That's why we may have, Giroud as sort of like a backup option, and we could probably roll the dice with Havertz. But having said all of that, Tuchel, would you entertain someone like a Sancho profile? And some of the people over here, they seem to be so bemused that, where's this Sancho room? Mate, Sancho has been rumoured with Chelsea. It's been going on for a long time. I'm not sure where you've been living. A lot of people are saying he's United bound. Yeah, I get it. It is very strong there, but nothing is set in stone until it's absolutely done. And I've got massive doubts as to why he would want to join United. I really don't understand why he would want to join United when they're not going to win anything under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. If you take Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out and you bring in a new coach, I get it. A world-class coach, hands down, he'll go there. But until that happens, I really don't understand. And Ryan put up some really good comments in regards to him playing in the Bundesliga, obviously, at the moment. Thomas Tuchel knows everything about the German league, knows the pressing, counter-pressing. Sancho would fit in like a glove. Do you know what I mean? He'll be like, it wouldn't even make a difference. But if it's not Sancho, but would you be entertaining anyone like Sancho, I suppose, to come and help out the attack?
Oh, yeah, Miz, absolutely. First of all, let me just say, right, like Sancho, man, if he wants to go to United, I don't even understand why he'd want to go there unless he's just going there for the vibes.
I'd be doubting his judgment. I'd be doubting his ambition.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely agree with you on that. Because really, I would have doubts about their manager. The manager for me in modern football is king. He is the most important person in any successful team. You think about, City, Pep Guardiola. You look at Liverpool, Klopp, obviously us with Tuchel. They are the guys now. Like, they are the masterminds. And so, if you go to a team that has an average manager, the team's performances get dragged down with the manager. And so that's why you see Man United, they're not winning any trophies anytime soon, unfortunately. But that's besides the point. Jadon Sancho is 100% a Chelsea player. I'm not even going to lie to you. I think he would be perfect for us. I definitely I see the reservations that I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ryan or Carefree Tactics was saying in terms of his profile and how his profile would sort of fit in our front three. It seems like he's more of a creator as opposed to this hybrid striker you guys were just talking about recently, where I feel like he would rather prefer the ball to feet and maybe try to dribble and whip something in the box for a striker or like an incoming inside forward to tap into the box, tap into the net. Sorry, but I can also see, I think with coaching, and this is where our coach point comes in with Tuchel. He's such an outstanding coach. I think he could be able to coach him to play how he wants to play in that front three.
100%.
And so, look, I will never say no to top talent like Sancho. I think he would fit perfectly in Chelsea. It's all about just bring him in and let Tuchel, the genius, deal with fitting him in the front three, because he can definitely contribute. I think we've had issues with creativity in the final third, and much recently, I think he would solve a lot of those issues. I think to be honest with you, part of those issues are, personally, I think part of those issues are formation related, especially when we play against the lower teams. It's no surprise our record against them since Tuchel it hasn't been too great, but that's definitely something we can discuss later. But yeah, to your point, Miz, Sancho, top talent. He would fit right in Chelsea. I think this is, if we can get him, we should go for him. I don't see why we should. We should definitely save his career by signing him and not letting him go to Man United. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I mean, recently there was rumors that, we may be sending Callum on that side and then getting someone like Sancho to us. So it all makes sense. And Tuchelista, thank you so much for your time. We're going to start wrapping up very soon. Hopefully we see you again in the channel.
Absolutely. I'll be here, definitely. Thank you.
Take care, my man. Take care. Ryan, let's start wrapping things up. I just want to bring this one in. Football Life Retro is having a real go over here. I just want to bring this in. Football Life Retro, look, you need to calm down. This is just a conversation. So I don't know whether you're a Man United fan. You may very well be a Man United fan. And Sancho very well may be signing for you guys, which is fine. We're just having a conversation here. I'm not writing this signature down for Sancho. I'm not signing him up right now. I'm just basically putting out the conversation that there's been rumors as well that Sancho has been linked with Chelsea, and we may even send Callum on that side. He's been a Chelsea fan, as we've already mentioned, all the stuff about Thomas Tuchel, German connection in regards to the way the Bundesliga is played, and also the fact that why would he want to join someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who's honestly, don't disrespect, but he's inept as a manager. So completely understand what you're saying, that there is heavy rumors. He's going to go there and whatnot, but it's not done yet. So until it's absolutely done, the rumors are still going to continue. So you don't need to take it personally, because I feel like you're taking it personally.
Another thing is that we're entertaining the conversation that a player profile like him also, would we need a kind of hybrid striker or a more attacking winger who can also create? We were discussing that too, not only about Sancho, but other players also. And another thing is, you mentioned Hudson, though. I just wanted to add in that if we can get him alone into Bundesliga, that would be amazing, because to learn Tuchel's way of football, that German pressing, this and that, in a proper team with a good system, I think that can be really good for Hudson, though. If for 1 year alone, he can develop, get game time, and also learn what German coaches, how they approach games and what they want from an attacking winger.
100%. Football Retro is actually a Chelsea fan. I've just read the comment, and he's saying that I just hate fake news. Mate, honestly, check out some of the top journalists from the last 12 to 24 months. They've all been talking about Sancho, man. I'm not saying this is a done deal. So this program is not about Jadon Sancho is a done deal for Chelsea. This program is about what a player like Jadon Sancho could do for Chelsea if it does happen. And also, if it's not Jadon, as Ryan has already mentioned in the stream, a similar profile like Jadon Sancho. So yeah, you just need to calm down a bit there, man. Ryan, let's start wrapping things up, man. We've had quite a long show here, nearly 1.5 hours streaming, but I think the live chat absolutely enjoyed this. As I said, we had close to, at one stage, 180 people on. First of all, as I said, smash the like button, guys. And keep commenting. If you're here for the first time, subscribe. That's the other thing. But Ryan, my man, any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
I think the final thoughts is that I think a big conversation needs to be had that if we don't get a star striker, star number 9, and we're keeping Havertz as a number 9, one thing that we need is to think about who can be our second striker, because Giroud would be a third striker for me. Who could be our second striker, because our team does struggle with injuries. Havertz has had 2 muscle injuries in the past 3 months. And he's going to be overloaded too, because he has Euros coming up and he's going to feature a lot there. Short preseason again. So we need a striker. If Tammy isn't staying, I'll be happy with Tammy staying. I really saw him in the celebrations. I'll be happy if you can get another crack at it. But
I think he's 100% going, bro. I think he's 100% going.
But if he's going and someone's coming in for sure, no way we're going to have 2 strikers alone. Because as we say, Funa is going to be a left-sided striker, so he won't be competing for that role. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, do tune in again next week, same time, Saturday, UK, 1 p.m., 1:10 p.m., somewhere around that. And we'll bring in Ryan again, and we're going to talk about another different player. I don't know, maybe we'll look into a CDM. We've been linked with a lot of CDM, so maybe we'll look into that. Maybe even a defender, or maybe even a wing back. We've been sort of linked with quite a lot of options here, so we'll check in on that. So yeah, until next time, everyone, thank you so much. And many people are congratulating me for the 5K, so thank you so much for that. Until next time, everyone, take care and see you.